I just needed a little break. I really wasn't motivated to record anything for the past 5-ish months. We had a lineup, honestly, of about 10 episodes on deck. They were purely legal related, and I just couldn't make myself press record and get it done, which meant to me that something wasn't aligned. And I really, really, really try not to do things in my business at this point, 10 plus years in as a business owner, if they don't feel aligned. Hey there, I'm Paige Griffith, your host and an attorney for small business owners. I help online businesses and creatives get legally legit in no time. This podcast is all about the legal and the Paige behind it. I'll break down and simplify legal talk while providing practical business guidance every step of the way. And after over a decade in the entrepreneur space and becoming a mother, I'll also be sprinkling in tips for running a business and giving you a glimpse behind the scenes of what life's really like. As a gentle reminder and disclaimer, I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney. So be sure to seek legal counsel for personalized advice. Welcome to the Legal Paige Podcast. I'm going to be giving you a little glimpse of what's been happening the past 5 months. I haven't done an episode since January 2024, and I'm going to be straight with you here. This is a super personal episode. So if you're not into that, and that's not what you want to listen to on the Legal Paige podcast, just feel free to move on to another podcast of your choice and come back to my next one that is more aligned with business and legal matters, if that's what you want to listen into. Okay, so let's get into it. First, I had my second baby in December. So what I did at the beginning of the year was maternity leave. And here is what that has looked like this time around as a new mom to two and also running and managing an online business. Let's just start with the maternity leave as a whole. What did I do with TLP this time around that I didn't do or had learned from having my first child? So we now have a marketing director. Her name is Casey, and she basically completely took over all things with the Legal Paige, at least for a few weeks. So all of December, I was out and she freaking rocked it. I have never, ever, ever been more grateful to really have like a solid number two in my business. And as I reflect back kind of over the past 2 to 3 years, it's been a little bit rocky with just really streamlining the marketing side of TLP. I feel like I've always been at the helm. We've had another employee that came and went, and it just wasn't the right fit to kind of be a number two or someone kind of running the ship, so to speak. And it was really interesting because this particular person, Casey, has been with the Legal Paige for over 3 years, which is wild. When we signed on again for another year, all of my employees, they always work for me for a year term. I mean, they can leave at any time, but we sign year agreements just so we have the ability to really check in, like look at the scope of the employment relationship and what we want to do. So in February, she hit her 3-year mark and we signed another agreement. And it was a really pivotal moment where we were like, oh my gosh, think about how far you've come. So Casey started out as an operations assistant on the operations side of things because she has a lot of background in operations and human resources and human and people management. So that was kind of her zone of genius. And then she became our operations manager after about a year and a half. And then we kind of had a void in the direction of the marketing lane of the Legal Paige. And I basically asked her, like, I would love for you to step up. I think this is something that you could really build your skill set on. I honestly think you would be very, very good at it. But Casey never had any real big marketing background or expertise. But to tell you she has flourished would be an understatement. So when we took a step back, we were like, my goodness, you've been in all areas of the Legal Paige, the operations side, and now she runs the marketing side. And I think that has really allowed her to be more or less like an integrator number two. She really still stays in the marketing lane as much as possible. And I'm going to get into that later in this episode. But I'm gonna stop here and just say, like, Casey has never faltered and she's grown so much. She's now my right-hand gal, and I couldn't run this business without her. So all in all, I always want to give credit where credit is due. And she really allowed me to take somewhat of a true maternity leave this time. And I say somewhat because I'll explain more in a little bit. Anyway, she was really pivotal in me being able to just truly take a step out of the business, be with my baby. I didn't get that opportunity last time. I felt like I was working within a week after I had my first kid. And within 2 or 3 weeks after I had my first kid, we had a massive sale and launch. And so I tried to plan this second kid around my sales. And if you're an entrepreneur and a small business owner, you kind of know, like, you try to plan. I mean, whatever, planning, having a kid, it is what it is. You get what is blessed upon you. But this time it kind of worked out because I was able to have my baby after our launch. And so it felt like a really good time for me to just take a step back, the team to like decompress from the sale, work on some back end stuff. And Casey she really took over. And it was a really good time as well for me to be like, you've got this, and kind of empower her and give her the power to do so. So that is kind of how I took a step back during maternity leave this time around. We also really gave social media to the social media manager here at TLP, and she ran our social media accounts the best she could. It went all right. It definitely wasn't uber authentic or anything along those lines. I mean, I wasn't on stories, more or less. So it felt planned out. There was more graphics and planned content, a little more like business heavy, Instagram slide heavy, and not just like me talking to camera and talking about what was happening that day. But honestly, that's just what needed to happen social media wise in order for me to take a step back. And I have a big control issue with social media, mainly because the legal page is a personal brand as well. My name is in the business name. So I have a lot of ties to my social media accounts, and I just really, really like running them and being a part of them. But honestly, it was beautiful. It was really nice for me to get out of the social media world for a while. And it went okay. So we didn't, of course, get a ton of engagement or growth or anything during my maternity leave, but the legal page was still putting content out there, and that's really all I cared about. So all in all, like, I plan to take 3 months, as much as possible of 3 months of maternity leave this time around. For all of you not in the United States listening, you're like, I still can't believe you guys only maybe sort of, I mean, there's no like paid leave. I took paid leave from my company. And we also offer paid leave to any of my employees that are on maternity leave. I would want that as a W-2 employee. And so that is a huge benefit that I offer to my employees. And we've had multiple people take maternity leaves with that. And so that was also kind of a change for me mentally. Is my first kid, I realized I'm the business owner. I don't know why I'm not giving myself permission to take maternity leave. I mean, it was a different time for the legal page back in 2021. We were still like scaling and growing exponentially. So I just felt like I needed to be there. But then after that, I saw a couple employees take maternity leave with me and truly gave them like 100% 3 months off. Like, I did not talk to them. I just wanted them to spend time with their babies. And then I really tried to take that route this time. And sort of went as planned, which is nice. I think I did 3 to 4 weeks totally off. That's like the most I've ever taken. And then I kind of trickled back in just a little bit and answered questions here and there from like the 1 to 2 month period out. And, you know, as you're if you're a face of the brand and you run a personal brand, or you run a personal brand, or you're just an entrepreneur, or you own a business, like, you get it. It's just not the same as having real paid maternity leave as a W-2 employee, but that's okay. Like, that is the path that we chose as business owners. And there's a lot of beauty in the flexibility and being able to call your own shots. So I don't mind it. And I really love what I do and I love my business. So it's hard for me to like just completely be like, peace for 3 months. That's in my mind. I was like, I know that's not going to happen, but I'm really, really going to try to take a step back as much as possible, which is what I did. And then one other thing that actually happened that we didn't anticipate would happen, but it did, is my associate attorney also had a baby about 3 weeks after me. So we were both basically on maternity leave at the same time. And when I had originally told the team, I'm pregnant, like this is what's going to happen. This is kind of when I'm due. She didn't know at the time. And so we had kind of started planning what the business would look like, who would take over. And I was like, oh, she's got this. Like she's really going to step in. And then she found out that she was pregnant, which is just wonderful. And it was so exciting. We have so many babies on the team right now. It's not even funny. I have said this on social media. We have a team of moms. I apparently love hiring moms. We all kick ass as working moms. But we were on a team call a couple months ago. And we all thought to ourselves, like, how many babies have grown since all of us have been on TLP? Like, how many have we birthed? How many now are amongst us? And I think it was like 13 or 14 kids just on that call. And then we have other contractors that are moms and have kids too. So back to like the legal part of who ran the legal side of TLP. She did while I was out for those 3 to 4 weeks. I think that's kind of why I had to come back 1 to 2 months out a little bit more, because really there's no one else that could answer legal questions. So any legal questions that came in or that the team had content-wise or contract-wise, sometimes we have like potential inquiries that come in, or people need to know like the difference between this contract and this contract. And our customer service team and our operations team they know it really well, but they just don't know it as well as myself and my legal team, who have literally written every single word of these contracts and short forms and clauses. So it's a way easier thing to ask me. And I just like know the question right off the bat because I'm the one with a JD. So that is how we kind of did that. But they were really respectful of my time. I gave them honestly just like some barriers in terms of when you should be messaging me. I just wanted it to be as simplistic as possible. And I didn't want to have to like get on Slack or get into the email accounts or inboxes or anything like that. So they just Voxered me legal questions and respected that was my main form of communication at the time. And that was really nice. Looking back though, it would have probably been smart to have another legal person kind of come in maybe as a contractor or just be able to help. But we made do, and I feel pretty good about it. I feel like it didn't take up too much of my time during what I would like to call, quote unquote, my maternity leave this time around. Okay, that's business-wise, like how I took a maternity leave as an entrepreneur. If I were to sum that up, it would be plan as much as possible. We planned a lot of content in advance. We planned a lot of blogs going out. We had some podcasts planned that didn't end up happening. I'll get to that in a second. And we planned all of our email marketing. We planned some like mini internal sales and back-end marketing stuff that was happening. Lead generation, we had a lot of that going. We had a lot of Facebook ads going. So the back end ran fine. And the legal page did really well during those months that I was off, because I think we have a lot more of a solid team than we did before. I'm constantly working on building the legal page, and you can't grow and scale without people and without assistance. Like I can't do this all by myself like I used to in 2017 and 2018. Personally, this is a little more than I've ever shared before. I don't like to share a lot of my personal life, but I felt like maternity leave was actually really tough this time around in terms of caring for my newborn. And that's honestly just because we had a lot of sickness sweeping through the household. I had the baby during winter time, and we have a kid that's in daycare, our toddler. And so, we, amongst many sleepless nights, we had toddler emotions. And then The toddler would bring home a lot of things from daycare and we got sick. If you're a parent and you experience what happened this winter, so much sickness. Oh my goodness, so much sickness. So I was actually super sick in the hospital and I didn't really know it until after I had given birth. It was one of those like, oh yeah, my throat kind of hurts, but it's fine. And then you're just I went into labor naturally. I waited until 41 weeks. I had gone into labor naturally my first time and I really enjoyed that experience and I really wanted it again. So I waited and waited and waited and waited again this time. I'm glad I didn't go over 41 weeks again, but it's like you're so deep into the labor and delivery portion of things. You're not really thinking about how you feel. You're literally just thinking about getting the baby out of you. So the next day I kind of realized I am sick. I do not feel well. And I asked my doctor, hey, before we leave, I don't want to have to go into an urgent care or anything. Is there any way I could get some antibiotics or something like this? And she, I kind of told her what was up and she did give me some antibiotics and I was able to get better, I would say within 3 to 5 days. And that was nice because, I had a day old at home. But then my toddler was still getting kind of sick and he got a little sicker. And then he got a bad ear infection. And then my husband got a really bad ear infection. And then his eardrum burst. And it was the worst sickness ever for all of January. Okay, I'm not going to go into details, but it was awful. Awful, awful, awful. I feel like we didn't even have 2 parents during that period of time because we were tag teaming with sickness. And then the stomach bug finally swept through our house and that was awful. And then it went to my parents who are also helping with childcare. It was just a disaster, just hot mess express. And then my baby got RSV at 5 weeks old and that wasn't fun. It was not great. She came out on the other side, though. We didn't have to go into the hospital. Thank goodness. We were able to kind of monitor her at home as much as we could. And she came out on the other side. So I am very, 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 very thankful that all of our health was really minimally impacted. I know that navigating newborn life with a super sick child is 10 to 100 times to 1,000,000 times harder. It was a lot. It was a lot to deal with this time around, especially when you're going from the 1 to 2 kid numbers. But we made it through. And I didn't really have a lot of worries in terms of motherhood. I felt really good this time around. It wasn't super new. And we made it to the other end. We made it through. So I feel truly once we hit 3+ months, we were in the clear. And that side of personally dealing with postpartum and all of that was just tougher this time around. And I'm not quite sure why. As a mom, I felt way more sure of myself. And I think that allowed me to get through that period of time with a lot of shit happens. We're just going to have to plug forward. Every other parent is dealing with this right now too. And myself and my friends, we're all texting each other. I'm friends with a lot of moms that are at the same daycare. And solidarity, we were all just kind of empathizing with each other. We were all going through the same thing. So personally, it was an interesting maternity leave to say the least, but that's just because of what life was throwing at us at that same period of time. And altogether though, if I'm going to look at the picture as a whole, being able to really step out of the business was nice because of how much personal stuff was going down at the same time and things in our household. All right, that was maternity leave. So that was January, February, and a little bit of March. What have I been up to since maternity leave? So post-maternity leave, we're talking here middle of March, April, May, and now it's the beginning of June. Let's start with personal stuff. I'm going to flip-flop this time around because we just ended with personal stuff during maternity leave and it kind of is a really good transition into it. I am navigating life with a toddler and an infant, myself and my partner. It is fun. If you are catching my tone of voice. It's 2 times the amount of work. I don't know though. I keep telling people I feel 0 to 1 kids was the harder transition in terms of life and becoming a parent, and that is all new. And you're like, what am I doing? I have to take care of a human and keep them alive. But 1 to 2 kids, it wasn't 2 times the amount of work. It kind of feels like 500 kids, like so much different. And it's tag teaming and it's like divide and conquering. You're no longer together taking care of one kid. It's like you're separate trying to take care of both kids. And that was weird. That was a hard transition for us. We did it. And I think there's a lot more normalcy now, like post maternity leave. We're 5.5, 6 months into having 2 kids. And it's feeling a lot better. It's feeling more routine. It's feeling more like this is how it always has been. We can do this. And I feel like every week it's just got better and better. And our toddler was getting into definitely more of a routine at school. And we were getting into more of a routine with some childcare with our little one. We have external help in that respect just a couple times a week. So once we kind of started getting a little bit of time to ourselves every day, for me just to work without like any kids in the household, because I do work remote, that was really nice. I felt like I could do some deep focused work and maybe have like 1 to 2 hours of like personal time. And same with my husband. He kind of felt like he was able to like come back to himself and get, fill his own cup up a little bit, which was nice because he does stay at home with our babies when they're really little. And I'm so thankful that he does that. But I know he needs some time away as well. So we're just like navigating all of that. I think it's going to be a constant thing for the rest of our lives. People say it's only 18 years, but I'm like forever and ever. Myself, I am trying to also just get back into a routine. Postpartum is tough. It is in that respect. Hormones, being a woman, I am really in tune with myself. But I feel like as a working mom and main provider for my family, it's just a little bit different. And also as a professional, like when you have a professional degree and you're really deep into that type of work, I love to work. It brings me a lot of joy. It brings me identity. So I'm trying to balance like who I am along with what I do and all the things that fill up my own cup. I have also been kind of going on a little bit of a health journey since having my baby. So after postpartum, I kind of knew that this was most likely my final kid. And that has been a whole thing. I would just say the past couple of weeks of like, I don't know, a lot of thoughts have been thoughting to me. I knew that, okay, this is my final kid. I now really want to focus back on myself. And health-wise, I've never said this publicly. I really haven't been my best self the past 8-ish years. And I have not felt aligned with who I was on the inside versus how I felt about myself on the outside. Ugh, the joys of being a woman, right? And body image and all the things and just weight and just truly like how I was feeling. It was all about how I was feeling. I just wanted to feel better and I wanted to feel healthier and I wanted to kind of get alcohol out of my life as much as possible. I think since 2020, there had just been everyone around me, just like lots of social drinking and there's been a lot of drinking since law school, honestly. And I wanted to change. And now I'm a mom and I have kids and I have responsibilities and I just don't want to wake up like feeling, I would get it just off of like 2 glasses of wine and be like, oh, why did I drink last night? And I didn't want to feel like that. And then also just diet wise, I wasn't feeling good. Like I was groggy and I just wanted more energy and to feel better all around. So I have been kind of doing that for the past 3 months and it has felt really, really good. So I am going to continue on with that. It's probably going to be a year or 2 until I know like all of the postpartum stuff kind of flushes through my system. As a female, it takes like 2 years after birth to like really, truly feel like yourself. And so I'm going to do the postpartum work alongside my health work. And I think I'm going to come out in a really good place. I'm in the messy middle right now, but I am feeling so much better. I have a lot more energy. I have just a lot more vibrance for life. And I feel a lot better about myself. I think, losing a little bit of weight, especially in the postpartum world, when you're just not feeling the best. Like I've been, pregnant and having babies for like the past 4 years. And it's nice to just have myself again, even though that was a beautiful, beautiful period of time in my life. And I'm so grateful that I was able to do that and go through all of that experience really as naturally as possible. I am looking forward to this like post-kid Paige in my 30s and beyond. All right, friend-wise and partner-wise has been a little interesting. I feel like you just have to, you just make a hard shift when you become a parent. And then an even harder one when you have 2+ kids. Friends in my world, my mother has said this since the beginning of time, and I have really taken it to heart. I think I've talked about this on a podcast before. But for me, friends are there for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. That approach is how I have looked at friendship. I have only a handful of friends that I have had for a lifetime. I can count them on one hand. And I have a lot of friends right now. The shift, I feel like the hard shift from 0 to 1 kid, you're like, okay, I know who my friends were for a reason. Like they were just there. They're not here through this parenthood season anymore. But then I had some friends that really stuck around. We were all having babies at the same time. And I truly feel like are these like seasonal friends. I don't know when that season may end. I don't, I think it's really, it really transitions just based on like where people live and schools and, work and just alignment in that respect. But right now I feel like I have a good core group of girlfriends and people I am doing parenthood with. We have like a little group that we call ourselves the OG Mom Club. And that's been really fun to just like message back and forth when we're dealing with all of this just motherhood and babies under 3, basically. All of us have them. And so they're like my seasonal friends right now. But I have also had some really, really good lifetime friends that have been around since elementary school and middle school. And those ones that have stayed through these massive transitions of my life, I shout out to you. You know who you are. It's been really nice to have them along for the ride as well. They're the aunties and uncles to my kids, and it's been beautiful. Family-wise too, I have really amazing parents. They are very, very involved, voluntarily involved grandparents. You see them a lot on my Instagram if you follow me there. And that has been really wonderful just during this whole journey of, moving from undergrad to law school to federal clerkship to like transitioning from law firm stuff to running my own business to 2020 to then like marriage and then kids now. And now we're like kind of in this, okay, now all my parents now have all of their kids have kids. And I think we're all kind of done having kids now. I'm the youngest of 4. And I think the baby that I had in December, I think that was kind of maybe our last grandkid as a whole, their last grandkid. They keep saying that. So we've all just like held on to her a little bit tighter, knowing it's the last one. And it's been fun to go through that with. I don't have any siblings in town. My parents are in town, which is wonderful, but I don't have any siblings in town. But we all stay in contact as much as we possibly can. And it's really fun because we all do have kids. I think there's like 6 under 5 or 6 under 4 or something. So we're all in this period together, which is fun. And I can't wait to kind of parent and grow alongside one another and all of my siblings and family. Lastly, just marriage is going good. It's different. I think there's all kinds of different levels of marriage. It's obviously different than us dating and being, long distance for a really long time. And then we were together and we weren't even engaged and living in the same place. And that was a really beautiful season. And then marriage and all of that was kind of during 2020, 2019, 2020. And then we had a baby in 2021. So that was an interesting period of time, as we all know. But it was like kind of our honeymoon phase, which was interesting. Oh my gosh, I'm not even going to get into that. It was just weird. Like what a weird period of time to be like newlyweds. But Then we had babies. And so we're just navigating that life of like new parents. I think it's different. And you look back and you're always like, oh, remember when? But I can't wait until we're feeling really, really grounded. And we're not quite there yet. We have a 2.5-year-old and an almost 6-month-old. And that's just a lot. Like, it's just a lot. So we're doing the best we can. I mean, we're tired by like 8 p.m. every single night. We haven't, had a lot of time together. Date nights, like, I don't even know, that doesn't exist. I'm working on it. I feel like we're going to try to outsource some help now and have some more intentional time together. If you've ever had a baby or you are a mom, I think seeing that light appear kind of at the 3 to 6 month mark postpartum, or 6 to 12 month mark, I kind of feel like it was with my first baby. Once you get into a groove, then you feel like you can kind of get back into a marriage groove, because you're just like thrown into parenthood the first time, and then like double parenthood the second time, and triple parenthood probably the third time and fourth time and fifth time for all of you who have, 3+ kids. So that's personal, what I've been up to post having a baby. And as a whole, I feel like time management is key. I have less time than ever before. And I really like my sleep, and I need to sleep. And so I just have limited hours and I can only get so much done. And that means we are getting help in all respects. And Paige, who I'm speaking in third person now, but I am someone who, type AA, Enneagram 3 kind of human. I like to control things. I like to do things. I don't like to ask for help. I'm really good at delegating, but when it comes to like personal stuff and household management and like that kind of thing, I like to do it all. And I'm just really realizing after 2 kids, I can't do it all. Like, I just can't. I can't do that and run a business and be a mom. Like, once I'm done working, like I feel like I just truly only have time to be a mom and a wife and a daughter and a sister and friend as much as I can. The other stuff is just a lot of mental load and capacity. And so I'm really starting to see a bigger picture of what I can outsource personally. Business-wise, I obviously have been working a lot more since about the middle of March. I would say I went from like part-time, maybe like 4 hours a day up to like 6 hours a day. And I don't work more than, I would say, like 7 to 8 hours a day. With 2 kids, it has shifted a bit. I'm not like on from like 9 to 5 every single day. Sometimes I really like to spend a lot more time with my babies in the morning. And so I might not get on until like 10. And then maybe I have, something else to do as a mom or something in the afternoon. And then I have noticed I've been working at night a lot more just to like get those extra couple of hours in, because I feel like I need it. So in that shift and transition, we've been doing a lot here at the Legal Page since March. I actually finished up a group coaching program in about mid-January. It was, of course, like right in the middle of my maternity leave. So since then, I've been kind of without mentorship, and that's been really weird, to be honest with you. I did actually just join a mastermind, and I'm really liking it. To be determined on that. I will get back to you if it's, a good fit. My last one was such a great fit. And I am very, very careful on group coaching and mentorship and masterminds that I am a part of, just for lots of various reasons in the education space and people who run them. And I just want to be really cautious and careful and intentional with where I spend our, business education money. And that one was so wonderful. And I took a few months off to just realign with what kind of mentorship and like networking and group environment I wanted to be in. And I did find one that I feel like I'm with a lot of moms that are running small to medium-sized businesses with employees and contractors, and are thinking at their business from like the level that I'm thinking at my business from. And so I'm excited about it. But we just got started last month, so I'll let you guys know. In terms of the Legal Page, sorry, that was like, I'm getting off topic. Let's get back on topic here, Paige. Okay, we went really, really hard into planning out a massive new evergreen funnel in March and April, like end of March. Come back from maternity leave and just go ham on this massive back-end funnel and marketing funnel for the business, which we have needed to do for a while. We've had an evergreen funnel run before. We just were never feeling good about it. It didn't convert as well as we wanted to. And I knew what we had, like Casey and I had really seen in the trajectory of like what we wanted our evergreen funnel to look like. We knew it was going to be a lot of work. And then we just, we joined actually like this 8-week program, and it just lit a fire under us. And we're like, we're going to get this done right now. Funny thing is, literally at the same time, we were prepping for our mid-year sale. We have 2 sales a year here at the Legal Page, one that kind of May-ish, and then one over Black Friday. And for whatever reason this time, the mid-year sale felt a lot harder. And looking back, I'm like, well, it's because we're doing an evergreen funnel at the same time. You guys, I'm so excited for the evergreen funnel to launch. I will let you know when it does and all the details. It's going to be really, really amazing. There's like a class involved in it, and I want you all to watch it. It's good. It's really good. And yeah, but we've done the same style of launching. I call it a launch. It's really a sale. It's very different, but I like to think of it as a live launch. It is live every time. And this one just felt extra challenging in May. And I think it's because we were doing 2 very, very, very big work things and launches all at once. And we'll never do that again. But lesson learned, and we all hustled extremely hard. I feel like the entire team kind of came back finally at the beginning of April. And then we worked our little fannies off for a couple of months. And it went well. We still haven't launched the evergreen funnel yet, but we are getting there. And that is how long sometimes it takes to build really big back-end funnels and marketing machines out in the online world. Like, I think we thought we could get it done in 4 to 8 weeks. And no. If we would have simplified it, but we're not simple here. And we've been running this business a while. So, we have thousands of customers and tens of thousands of people on our email list and lots of people hitting our website every day. So it just was kind of a different animal this time around to look at making an evergreen funnel than it did 3 to 4 years ago when we were making our first one. This is something I really wanted to chat with you all about. We have been having lots of discussions at the Legal Page about our team and what it should look like moving forward. That's been a big thing. And I don't know if it was this enlightening moment now that I'm a mom of 2 and are kind of delegated and navigating in that respect of my life. But here I'm like, okay, we have had some people with the Legal Page since the beginning. Like my copywriter, Anna, for example, bless her soul. She's truly magic with words. I cannot thank her enough for all she does. She sounds like me. We box her back and forth, and then she just like whips out copy and is beautiful. She's like our sales copywriter. And I think some people, we are transitioning out a bit to test out other people coming in. And there's some people that have been on our team that, again, it's like the friendship thing I was saying, a reason, a season, and a lifetime. I think you have very, very, very few, probably. I would even say maybe less than 1% of your employees or contractors are going to be lifetime workers, any type of worker on your team. I think I might have a couple. Well, I mean, Anna would be the only one. Hopefully she stays with me forever. She would be the only one. Everyone else has either come in the middle that is now on my team or has since left and done other things, which is totally fine. Like everybody knows that there is all kinds of ebbs and flows of workers being on your team. But I am kind of seeing a bigger picture here about the team that I want to get me there. If you've heard that saying before, the team that got you here may not be the team that gets you there, or probably will not, just like straight up will not be the team that gets you there. And so as I'm envisioning where I want to be in 2, 3, 5, 10 years, I am going to really start looking at filling roles that we've been needing to fill. We've all been taking on a lot of projects ourselves. Casey and I have really seen that the past 2 to 3 months, like how much we are doing in the business versus the big things that we actually need to be working on and strategizing and really being at the top of the triangle, looking down on the workers and managing the workers and like managing all of the tasks and output and content and contracts and products and everything that goes on in customer care. And so we did hire an operations manager in April as well. Welcome to how quickly I do things. I'm like recording this episode and thinking, oh my goodness, a lot has happened in the past 5 to 6 months. It's nice to actually sit down and talk about it. But we did hire an operations manager, so that was able to fill that operations role. And we have a couple like part-time contracted people that help with CS, customer service. And we are now really looking into getting probably an employee in the customer care side of things, so that our operations is truly covered as much as possible versus kind of having it ad hoc with contractors. We really want someone that's there 6 hours a day minimum, managing inboxes, incoming questions that come in every day, and other like operations assistant-y things that our operations manager can then step out of a lot of the customer care stuff and really help with the back-end operations of TLP, because I know that that is her zone of genius. And you can't really help with the operations of TLP until you do a lot of customer stuff. So she did have to get her feet very, very dirty in that respect, and learn all of the stuff that comes in customer-wise, whether that's potential customer, new customer, or previous, returning customers, and dealing with customer accounts. But we have a lot of cleanup to do with like products and everything that's, we're an e-commerce business. There's just a lot going on all the time. And then I'm going to fill some other roles. So I'm excited to maybe get a strategic partnership manager on board, like a PR manager. We field a lot of incoming requests for guest speaking for myself and the legal team, and, guest experting in, any type of group coaching, doing like lives with them, doing workshops, retreats, speaking at conferences and in-person events. So we field those a lot. I would like to also PR-wise do it a little bit more from us pitching other people. That would be great, but we just haven't had the capacity to do that. And then that person would also work alongside. I would like to hire an affiliate manager. We have a very, very large affiliate team or affiliate program, something I have built in the legal Paige for many years. And Casey has been a huge part of that as well on the marketing side of things. And we just need someone to like zone in and manage affiliates and really think strategically about affiliates. But this strategic partnership manager, we've thought about them that like combining that position, but I actually think it's probably going to be 2 separate positions. So I'm excited about those and kind of how that shakes out. I have some interviews coming up, and I really hope we find the right people. I'm putting it out into the universe. And like, I'm not a woo-woo person or manifesting, but I actually feel like it's working, that I'm like speaking things into existence a little bit. We are also probably going to get like a new podcast manager or agency. I really want to get this podcast to a new place. I'm foreshadowing here of what I'm going to talk about in about 3 minutes. So hang on with me. We are also thinking we're going to get a ghostwriter or like a content copywriter. Myself and my legal team basically do all of the legal content copy and writing and blogs. And it is just so much. It is so much for us to do that and manage hundreds of legal products in our shop. And that is what I really want to focus in on and be like not in 3 to 4 to 5 legal headspaces every single day. It'd be really nice. The products are what's most important to me and what we sell. That is our, main ROI at the legal Paige. And so I always want to like be available to look at those contracts, to update the contracts, to tap into the industry, to come up with content and strategize content, but not write the content anymore. And that's really going to help my legal team kind of step out of the writing as well. So we're looking for kind of a ghostwriter, content copywriter. We already have a sales copywriter at TLP. So this would just be like an additional copywriter help, like assistant. We are also going to probably find someone that actually does graphic design. This would just be like a contractor for our business, but we've never hired someone graphic design wise, except when we've done like a whole brand revamp And we have like a brand strategist come in and do the whole brand. And then they usually give us some templates for graphic stuff. But we've never had a graphic designer. We literally use Canva, and Casey and I do all the graphic design ourselves, or our social media manager does. And she doesn't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. And we're like, we would get so much time back if we had someone that was really, really good at graphic design, that we felt good, that we could just delegate that task to. So I'm excited. I have someone that I think is going to be a good fit. So I will also let you know how that goes. And then the very last person that I think we're going to, a person or company or somebody, is some back-end website assistance. So we are on Shopify, and Shopify is it's an interesting beast of a website platform. It is amazing for e-commerce, and we are kind of in the digital commerce space. It's beautiful. We can't get off of it. Like, we have all of our customer accounts there. We have hundreds of products. Like, we can't move from Shopify. And we just put a ton of money into a brand new website last year that we launched. But Shopify is basically custom coded, like in actual code. So we need a coder to go in there. And if you can believe it, Casey's a jack of all trades. She knows some coding. And she spends like hours sometimes on the back end of coding our website. And that is not what she needs to be doing. So she really wants to find some coding back end Shopify website assistant. We have not found someone in that respect. If you know of anyone, send them our way. And then I would say on the horizon, putting this out there, I really want to try to join forces with other like businesses to kind of group our legal thoughts together and contract shops together. That could be way awesome. And I would like to see what comes of that. I'm thinking about it all the time, kind of thinking about it. Like I mentioned, I also joined a mastermind group that I'm excited about. I will let you guys know how that goes. I'm meeting and networking with really amazing women and other companies and other industries and people that have, I don't know, $2, $5, $10, $20 million businesses. And I'm like, heck yes, I want to be in the room that you're in. Tell me how to get there. And we are really, again, we're working on all the content pillars of TLP. So I'm back here on the podcast. We're getting more podcasts out. We're getting more blogs out. We're combining old blogs, working on the SEO back end of our website. I have recorded and batched a bunch of YouTubes and getting back on YouTube. So content pillars of TLP. I'm getting back into my KPIs as the business owner, and I need to be putting out content. And then I'm also taking back over my social media accounts. That's a whole other episode I'll share with you soon. That's a big transition. I'm like a week into it right now, so I need more time to see how this goes before I give you my 411 on that. But I'm not going to have a social media manager for a while, and I'm going to test out like me truly taking back and being authentic and posting everything on my social media accounts. Primarily Instagram is where I like to hang. And so me doing that and putting out all the content, I think is really going to help align what we're doing here at TLP versus like so many strategists and so many people doing different things and all trying to come together. That's been a lot to manage. And I want a little more simple approach moving forward. So that's the team. That's what we're doing. That's the stuff we've been working on. We did have a big launch at the end of May. It went really well. I think the entire entrepreneurial online world, virtual world is shifting quite a bit now that we're in end of 2023. I started seeing it into 2024. I'm totally seeing it. So it'll be really fascinating to see what comes of the legal page and how this is all going to work moving forward. In terms of the podcast, my friends, I just needed a little break. I really wasn't motivated to record anything for the past 5-ish months. We had a lineup, honestly, of about 10 episodes on deck. They were purely legal related, and I just couldn't make myself press record and get it done, which meant to me that something wasn't aligned. And I really, really, really try not to do things in my business at this point, 10 plus years in as a business owner, if they don't feel aligned. I used to throw spaghetti at the wall. I don't even care if it doesn't feel aligned. Let's see if it works. But I wanted to take time and sit and think about what I wanted for this podcast. What do I want for the Legal Page podcast? I love sharing legal content. Don't get me wrong. I am a lawyer by trade. That is what I do every day. I love contract law, small business law, intellectual property law, love all of that. But I also really like to talk about business mindset, CEO and team management stuff, business tips and tricks. I feel like after over a decade into this gig now, I do have some wisdom. I have failures and successes that would absolutely be helpful for others to hear about. So this meant that I needed to make a shift in what we were doing with the podcast. And I know that I do need a little bit more strategic help on the back end. So it's not just me, but I actually want to be a huge strategizer of the podcast and what I am putting out here and what I feel really good putting out here on the podcast. I actually used to have my legal team help me outline the podcast. And that was just like a weird dichotomy where I wasn't entrenched in the actual outline itself. And then I would like open it up an hour or so before I recorded, put in my own stuff. And it wasn't feeling awesome. I don't know if you noticed, probably not. But to me, I was like, I want to outline this stuff. I want to like dive deep and do legal research, or I want to write an episode on something that's going on in my business or being a CEO or a tip and trick that I learned, last week or last month at, some event, or what I had learned from my TLP community. And I just wanted to talk about it with you all. So that's what I'm going to do. I also polled my audience on Instagram and in the Facebook community regarding like what you wanted to hear more from me on the podcast. And it really sounded like you all wanted a little bit of personal mixed in with business, mixed in with the legal stuff. So I'm going to give you all of that on the podcast moving forward. I hope you're excited about it as much as I am. Of course, there will definitely be just straightforward legal episodes, simple bite-sized legal tips as well. I'm going to throw those in there. So maybe we're going to have longer episodes. We're going to have like medium episodes. And we're going to have short little bite-sized legal tip episodes. That's kind of what I'm envisioning. And then I, of course, will tell you what it's like to run a small online business, have a remote team, what it's like dealing with employees and contractors, managing social media, networking, conferences, speaking events, and everything else that we do here. Maybe a little mom stuff thrown in there too, but not very much. It's who I am. It's a part of me now. And it's a big, big part of my everyday life. So as a little teaser, we will be sprinkling some fun guest episodes into the podcast. I myself mostly am just a fan of solo podcasts. I actually prefer to only listen to solo podcasts with hosts out there. And like I tend to scroll past guest ones. So I did guest episodes at the beginning, like when I started the podcast, and people told me, like, this is how you start a podcast and this is what you're supposed to do. And you got to get guests on and that's going to like help you grow and all this stuff. But I just didn't like it. I didn't love it. And then when I listened to like my top podcasts that are on my podcast app, I just have learned I don't love listening to guest episodes that much. So we are going to sprinkle some guest episodes in, but I'm going to make you this promise. I am only going to bring on guests that really knock it out of the park with you, that I've personally connected with or have a background story with. I want it to feel conversational. I don't want a guest to come on and it feel like a pitch or a random episode thrown into the mix for marketing purposes. Like I'm just not about that, especially here on my podcast. The podcast is truly meant to be a place now, if you heard the new little intro, where I'm talking about the legal side of the legal page and the Paige side of the legal page. And that's how I'm going to position this entire podcast moving forward. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I really look forward to this new TLP podcast era 2.0. I cannot wait to hear if you like how I am transitioning with this podcast. Please let me know. Reach out to me on DMs. Let me know if you like this episode. Let me know what more you want to hear from me in all of the different areas that I have mentioned. And don't worry, you will still get plenty of legal content from me. I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's show. Be sure to visit thelegalpage.com for contract templates, blogs, YouTube videos, and additional legal resources. If you haven't already, head over to iTunes and leave me a review and rating. It truly means so much to me to hear your feedback and inspires me to continue creating podcast content. Also, I want to personally invite you to my free Facebook group at tlpfacebook.com, where you will get access to me, my legal team, and thousands of other entrepreneurs in there for unlimited business and legal Q&A. Until next time, my friend.